So thanks for coming to our panel. It's kind of like a random panel where they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, not another voice acting panel. Just because we already have some this weekend. So I'm like, can I do something where we talk about like our other stuff, like what other jobs we have or what other hobbies we have? So that being said, we're all voice actors. We can move past that. I'm Amanda C. Miller.
I'm Jamie Markey.
I am Morgan Berry.
And we do other stuff.
We do.
That was a good intro. I like that.
We do lots of other stuff.
Yes.
What other stuff do you do, Amanda? I've told her, I was like, so pretty much this whole thing is just going to be me talking about my dogs? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
I know, I was too excited. If I think I can talk about my dogs, I'm going to be way more excited than I should be. They're so cute. I have 2 Boston Terriers and a Shih Tzu. And then also Michael Tatum's 2 Frenchies come over all the time. We have a little pack. And Ian Sinclair has another Boston Terrier. They're really adorable. There's a lot of snorting.
Can you hear us okay? Or is it a little quiet?
We sound far away to ourselves.
I mean, I've always been a little bit into like ghost stuff. Like growing up, I would like watch like ghost hunters and stuff in high school, and I'm like, this is so crazy. Oh my gosh, how do they see ghosts every week? And I'm like, I realized later a lot of it is theatrics, but
No, they really see them.
they really do. They believe them. But the thing is, like, I started having more like ghost experiences. Like my neighbor died last year, and then I started having stuff in my apartment. And so like I started actually. No, you hadn't been in my apartment.
No, but you were around me more.
That's true. I brought it with you, or I brought it with me. So that's a passion we both share. Is like we both love like spooky ghost story stuff, ghost hunting, any sort of like. She runs a podcast.
I do with Michael Tatum. It's called Ghoul Intentions. We have a panel tonight at 9:30 where we'll be telling ghost stories.
Nice.
And then I have a web series called Ghosts and Stuff Inc., which is more like. It's not really scary. It's more like Parks and Rec meets Ghostbusters. And it's kind of like my passion for like loving ghost hunting, but also liking Parks and Rec.
It's really funny.
So I wanted to thank you.
Yeah,
I wanted to
really
do something where I'm like, yeah, there's ghost hunting in it, but the ghost hunting was like a mechanism to tell the story, and it's more about the characters and their relationships. So that's kind of one of the things we do. I was nerding out at my table because a couple people came up and were like telling me about Savannah, and I'd just been in Savannah, and my car is haunted from having been in Savannah a couple weeks ago. It was ridiculous. There's a road in Savannah called Skidaway Road.
That's a terrible name.
It's a terrifying name. You don't want to call a road Skidaway Road.
At least it's descriptive.
They're like, this is what's going to happen to you. So I was driving, and it was nighttime.
Did you skid away?
Almost.
Oh.
So Google Maps was like, hey, keep going straight for a mile. I was like, okay, cool. Going straight. Like on the map, it was like straight. Keep going. So I did. And then at the last minute, I had to slam on my brakes. It's like, what the heck? Because the road ends like that. And if I kept going straight, it's the Bonaventure Cemetery. And I have a photo of it because I was like...
Skid away into the cemetery.
Skid away into the cemetery. Like, it was like, Google Maps. Like, you were trying to kill me.
Shame on you.
Siri's like, sorry about it. But I like looked down, and I have a Prius. It's my speedometer, and like there's like still like one of the lights, but my speedometer is out. My lights are, or my timer is out, or like the clock. That's what we humans call it. And
the thing with the numbers
thing
that
with
tell you
that
what
tells
the
you
time is.
The digital hourglass. But they. I have a photo of it because I was like, what just happened? And like since Savannah, it was like 2 weeks ago, during the day, it still turns on. At night, anytime I turn my lights on, the inside panel turns off. I'm like, my car's haunted. I brought a ghost back from Savannah, and it's haunted my Prius.
It did some really bad electrical damage.
It was like, I'm going to mess up your car.
That's right. Suck all the energy out of it.
Because they couldn't get me into the graveyard, so they were like, fine, well.
They really wanted you.
They really, which is nice. It's nice to feel like I belong somewhere.
Right. To be wanted is important.
But yeah, so that's my. I'm sure I could talk about ghosts the whole panel.
know,
So I'll let Morgan. Do you have anything that you're like passionate about? Any side projects you're working on?
Well, on top of being a voice actor, I'm also just a fan of anime, and so I do have obsessions.
Do you cosplay?
I did once as a gender-bent Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul. And that was fun.
Nice.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. That's
What
the only
are
time I've ever
your-
cosplayed. But
What are your current obsessions?
Voltron, Legendary Defender. That is my obsession. Even after it ended in the last season, was really sad. But I still love it, even though the remake, yeah. I have watched the old Voltron as well, but I just really like the remake. It's so well done. But yeah, that's one of my obsessions. And then, of course, I'm a fan of some of the stuff I'm in, too. I love My Hero Academia and Love Live Sunshine. And yeah, there's just a lot of fun stuff. But on top of being a fan, I love singing.
Nice.
So I do that.
Are you a karaoke person?
I am.
What are your standards?
Anything Demi Lovato. I love her. Like, she has pipes.
She does.
Yo, she has an incredible range, and it's fun to imitate that, you know? And so I love singing anything Demi Lovato, maybe some Adele.
Yes. Nice.
I love it. They're fun. And maybe some Beyonce.
Oh.
I love all of it.
I do. Mine is Jolene.
Shut up.
Is that yours too?
No, mine is I Will Always Love You in the style of Dolly
both
Parton.
Dolly Parton.
It's so good.
Do you also do? I feel like I just go into the twang when I'm doing it.
Yeah, I can't help it.
You can't just be
I'm
like
from
just
Oklahoma.
happens.
It's
yeah.
natural.
You can't
I
just
have
be
no
like
power over it.
Jolene.
Right.
Like you can't
Well, and
just
I
say it like
can't
that.
sing Jolene because
Okay.
it's about a red-haired woman with green eyes.
Yeah.
I would be singing about myself. That's weird.
You'd be like, "Don't
awkward.
take my man." You're like, "I'm you." You're like, "I know."
Get help.
It's a song about a schizophrenic woman.
That's right. It's deeper than you guys thought it was.
Yeah.
So here's the fun thing about Amanda and me too is we play the same character. I just play it in the anime. She plays it in the video game. Junko Enoshima from Danganronpa. People really want us to hate each other, but we just really want to braid each other's hair.
Which would be hard because I've got ethnic hair, so it'd
Which
get
is
all
why
tangled.
I want to do it. I
Yeah.
would be so good at it.
Even I can't braid my own hair. I'm always like ripping it apart. I'm like, ah,
do it.
God, can't.
I can do it.
Yeah. I've
yeah.
learned kind of how to do like Dutch braids, but even then it's still just like, my hair is just like, you'll comb through it and it's all like silky and whatever. And then within 10 minutes, it's like wrapped itself around a small child and is like pulling it into the abyss. And you're like, stop it.
Small child.
Stop, get out.
Let it have what it wants.
Yeah, maybe it's just
You have to
hungry.
feed it.
You know?
It needs nourishment.
That's right.
Children.
Moisture.
Maybe that kid was going to grow up to be the next Hitler. So maybe my hair's like, I'm trying to save the world.
Right. What if?
Oh my
What
God, I
if?
love that.
You love that my hair's trying to stop the next Hitler?
It's funny.
Oh,
How dark that got.
just wait.
That's another thing I
That's my humor.
really enjoy is I love to write. So I love acting, but I also really want to be like a Tina Fey or like a Mindy Kaling or like a Phoebe Waller-Bridge now. But like, especially because Phoebe Waller-Bridge, so she wrote Fleabag, which is a show on Amazon.
So good.
But it started out as like a one-woman stage play in the UK. And there's like a meme out there, not meme, but like a photo set out there that shows like a review from when she first released her play. And it's like the critic being like, ugh, utterly unlikable, blah, 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 trash, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts to her winning like 4 Emmys this past year. And it's kind of just like the ultimate FU of like,
It's pretty great.
keep doing you know? Like, not everybody's going to get it, and that doesn't mean you should stop.
Yeah.
But I love to write, and I want to be like that creator who's like an actor who also is in their own stuff and produces stuff. Like, I want to get to the point where people know my work enough that I'm like, hey, I have this idea for this like supernatural show or this girl like as an intern in Purgatory, and then people would be like, yeah, let's help you make it. Like, that would be my dream.
Yeah, that sounds. Just people to be like, let's do what you want.
Right, like we trust your vision and your brand
in
enough
all
to.
aspects of my life. Though.
But let's do what you're like. I want somebody to feed
If
me
my
grapes.
mother could just say that,
Yes.
that would be very rewarding.
Is that something
do
we
what
need?
you want, Jamie. What, Mom? Really?
Is this something we need to talk about in therapy?
We have.
Well, I hope your mother does
Don't
that
tell
one
her
day
I said
too.
that. She'd be very upset.
Somebody's like filming it. They're like, already tweeted it. I don't know why.
And I tagged your mom.
Yeah, I tagged your mom because your mom's on Twitter. That sounds like a band name.
Your mom's on
Twitter. We're your moms on Twitter. We'll be here all week.
I know a guy in a band called Your Mom.
That's really funny because it's like, what's
I
your
like
band name?
that.
Your
Your
mom.
mom.
You're like, okay, but what's your band name? Don't be a douche.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I like
Great.
that.
They get it. They get the comedy of it.
Do you, if anybody, like, we can keep talking, but if anybody has any questions about anything, or like if you have passions you want to share and want to ask us if we know anything about it, I don't know. Like, this is pretty open. Yeah. Sorry, you first and then you. What do I use for my hair? So I'm still learning that because I'm multiracial. So my dad is Louisiana Creole and my mom is a white lady from France. So she knows nothing about my hair. And usually it's like the moms who pass down the knowledge of hair to their children. So my dad couldn't help because my dad's like, I don't know, because his hair's just, short and, cropped close. Now he's bald. But,
Very simple.
So he could not help my mom be like, oh, well, what you got to do is you got to do blah, blah, blah. So my mom would there were photos where she would try. She actually did a pretty decent job. But she would just be like, and I had a little fro as a kid, and she would just kind of put a barrette here and a barrette here, and there'd be these two little tufts of hair. And she's like, eh. So it was a learning process for her too. But then she got really intricate with the French braids and stuff. But then my aunt convinced her. She's like, her hair's nappy and you need to relax it. So unfortunately, my hair was chemically relaxed from I don't know, elementary school to middle of high school. And then I was kind of I'm curious what grows out of my head because I haven't seen it in forever. Yeah. And so I kind of started letting it grow out, and I was like, oh, this is fun. It's curly, and I'm low maintenance, so I'd rather. Because if you've ever been in gym class and it starts raining and all the black girls run to the side and are like, ah, and try it's because our hair is gonna mutate back to what it. Yeah. It's they're not trying to be divas. It's just this is expensive and I can't or. So I didn't like that because I was an athletic kid. So I played soccer, I played hockey. So every time I'd sweat, it would start to curl back up. So it was just annoying.
It's right here.
Yeah, it was right here, and then it would kind of be poofy but straight, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a good look for me. So I started going natural, which is what we call when you let your hair be natural.
Right.
In middle of high school, and I haven't gone back. But I've been playing with it because I just moved to Atlanta, Georgia. So I was in LA for 8 years, and the humidity affects your hair a lot. So when I'm in LA, which I'll be this week, my hair is longer and less curly. It's still curly, but it'll be kind of more like
softer.
that because it's. I guess basically my hair and my skin are mummified when I go to LA because it's a desert, so it's dry. Yeah. So that's why it's kind of lifeless and And then when I moved to Atlanta, it was several inches shorter, and the curls were So it's each time I travel, I have to use different hair products. It's a whole thing. You have to become a chemist to deal with ethnic hair.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the different curl versus texture.
Right. There's a whole there was a
chart.
Bible a couple years ago, Curly Girl. It was a book that basically I think that was the book that defined there's you either have 1A hair, 1B hair, you literally have a category. So now people are I'm 3C with a little bit of 4A, And so it's that's been helpful to have that kind of resources. But yeah, for the most part, I've been I don't know, I'll condition it in the shower and comb through it and rinse only half of it out so that it still keeps conditioning because otherwise my hair will just be frizzy and dry. My hair is that it still wants to eat babies. It just wants to eat everything. It's it wants moisture. It's just I'm hungry all the time. I'm I know, I'm hungry too. Yeah, I think, what am I using right now? I don't know. Basically, it's so dry because I had it blue for a while. So for 2 years, my hair was dyed bright teal, which means you have to bleach it. And so it was very dry. This is half of it's basically they added the brown back in. So every time I wash it, it gets lighter and lighter. So it's dry. And I basically have to put deep conditioner. Thank you. Also, half of this isn't my hair. Clip-ins, honey.
Oh, okay, nice.
Because my hair keeps breaking off because it's bleached. So.
Well, it looks great.
Thank you. That's the biggest lie that people try to sell in Hollywood. All these actors and celebrities have this hair down to here, and they're oh yeah, I just eat a lot of vitamins. It's girl, that's a wig. Katy Perry wears a wig. Beyonce has a $2 million wig collection. That was something I wish I had known. That was something I would have known if my mom was the black one and my dad was, because she would have been honey, that's not her hair. Because growing up, I was I want to look just like Beyonce in Destiny's Child. Her hair is straight and silky and not coarse, and it bounces, and she's in those Faria commercials just flipping it. And if I have Faria, my hair will look like that too. My mom's I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's probably her hair, And so my mom would help me. She dyed my hair honey blonde, trying to be like Beyonce. Aww. Then we relaxed it, but it was it just kind of was lifeless and didn't bounce like hers. And then eventually somebody explained to me, they're no. You too can have her hair for a certain price. That's you just have to buy it, which is fine. You can buy your hair, but just don't be flipping it in Faria commercials and telling people it's your hair.
Right.
I have a little bit of beef with Beyonce. I have to text her. I have to let her know.
Yeah,
Because we're like besties now. Just kidding.
she let you down.
Yeah, she let me down.
Don't say that
Yes.
online.
That's a really in look right now. It's very sleek. You know, a
Yes.
very good look for like model it for us. Very low maintenance. My dad started shaving his hair like once he was like mid 40s. He's like, well, I'm going bald anyway, and then he kind of started liking it. I think also it was The Matrix had come out, and it was like the Orpheus or Morpheus look. Yeah, and so he was like, all right.
Orpheus.
I think it's more.
It is,
Morpheus.
but Orpheus also sounds familiar.
Orpheus is from the Greek play, but it's also from not Greek play. Yeah, Greek play, or myth, but it's also from Hades Town, which I'm seeing next weekend. That's a musical. It's really cool. I'm excited.
She's also into musicals.
I'm really into musical theater. I was a theater major in college,
Nice.
Me too.
but I'm like the WB Frog, and I can't actually sing in front of people. My voice teacher's like, you could be belting it out on Broadway. I'm like, I know, but I get too nervous.
Yeah.
So,
Can't pee yourself on Broadway.
yep. I mean, depending on the costume.
That's true. Fergie did it.
I forgot about that.
Fergie
Yes.
did it.
So I've been
We
like
can all do
I've been
it.
like rambling.
Yeah, it'll keep happening. Don't. You had a question.
Yes.
Did you have a question? You had a question. Oh, that was what you were saying. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Does anybody else have anything to?
Yes.
No.
What is that?
Oh, it's okay. There's is it considered a pilot? Okay. Okay, you can watch it for free on YouTube. It's called Has Been Hotel, Hazbin, Has Been Hotel. And how would I describe it? It's a bunch of demons in hell. And then there's this one demon that's like, we need a rehabilitation hotel for those who don't want to be sinners anymore. And you know, I guess like if you do agree to like, oh yeah, I won't, you get a free room and board, right? Like at the hotel if you decide not to sin and you know, become a better person or
it's
a better
like a
demon.
conversion center?
Yeah,
Or-
conversion center. See, I'm not good with the descriptions. That was good. It's like a conversion center. Yeah. Rehabilitation
yes, okay.
for the demons. And it's just really, it's not for kids. It is not for kids. My favorite character, his name is Angel Dust. Yeah, he's my favorite character. Oh, I love him too. He's my second
Angel
favorite.
dust a drug?
It is, exactly.
That's something you may not want to
That's like his second line.
Like, I love Angel Dust. It's great.
But yeah, so
I've actually seen the show. I was just making a statement.
definitely, you would love it, I think. Like, it's really funny. It's on YouTube. Just type in Has Been Hotel. It comes up. And yeah, I'm promoting it. Yeah.
Yay.
It's great.
Oh,
A few
fun.
people we know, yeah.
Yay, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, yes, I've seen it, and I love it.
Do either of you play sports, or did you play sports, or are there sports you like to watch?
No. I've never been into sports, and I kind of wish I was. I wish I was sporty, but I'm not. People would think I am, but I don't know. I don't like running,
Yeah.
and
I mean, I used to watch football all the time. I used to watch especially college football. I'm a Sooner. So
Okay.
whenever people online call me, okay, boomer, I just reply Sooner, and they don't know what to do. So I watched it for
Are
a long
you
time.
considered a
but
boomer?
Boomers, no.
You're like Gen X, right, or something
I
like that?
know, but Generation Tedious likes to call everybody a boomer. So anyway.
it's like a thing now.
So there's a big game. It's OU versus Texas. It's a huge deal, and it's always my birthday weekend. And I would realize that it would, if we lost, my whole birthday was ruined.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, this is too much. I've got to take a step away from this. And so
Yeah.
I stopped for a long time. And now I'm much happier in the fall. It's like, oh, I don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
That's great.
You sound like a recovered addict.
I-
You're like,
Yeah.
and now my life is better for
It's
it.
so much better. Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm a recovering college football Sooner.
Nice.
I played soccer for 7 years as a kid, which is weird because I also hate running.
Oh.
And I have asthma, and it never got better. Like that's they're like, oh, asthma gets better if you use it or lose it. I'm like, no, because I was in the peak shape, and I still was like, you know. And also, I never scored a goal except for one time, and it was like a Disney movie. It was like in my final year of playing, we got to the playoffs, and it was the final game of the playoffs, and for some reason, I always played defense because I wasn't really skilled at like not dribbling. Yeah.
Kicking the ball around.
Why are you looking at me? I didn't even know there was a defense in soccer.
What is it? It is dribbling. I was thinking basketball's dribbling, but like I'm saying like with your feet, like it's still dribbling. Okay. So I was not really like skillful with that, and I wasn't really fast, and I could never kick it in. And so they always put me on defense.
Just, like, really good at this.
I was just really good at knocking people over because I was big. And so, like, in defense, you just run at people and just, like, boom, you know, like, and so, like I was good at that.
Right.
But yeah, it was more just like I would run and I would stay still and they'd fall down. I didn't, like, have to knock them down. They just run into me. I'm like, sorry.
That's true.
They'd
but
see you coming in and just fall.
yeah, just like fainting goats. Just like,
Yes.
But eventually, until we all hit puberty, because, you know, girls mature faster than boys physically, so I was like, I'm taller than all you punks. And then about, like, 13, all the boys started getting taller, and then I lost any skill I had at soccer, because I'm like, I was just bigger than you. I wasn't good at this.
You were good at being bigger.
I was good at being bigger
That's
until I
important.
wasn't.
Until you weren't.
But for some reason, in the final, like, we got into overtime, and we were tied, and it was like, we'd done one overtime, and we were still tied, and so we had like a sudden death overtime where like whoever scored the next one won the thing. And for some reason at that point, my coach was like, hey, Amanda, go play offense. And I was like, why? Why now? You know, like.
It's too much pressure.
And so he put me in, and I don't remember fully what happened. I don't understand how it happened, but basically I just started like, the ball's in the middle of the field, and I'm just like, and like I just like started running, and then these two defenders start running at me, and I kind of was like, and they didn't know what to do, and I guess like they like ran into each other.
Right. They're like, is she having a seizure?
Yeah, they're like, what's happening?
Take a step back.
And, like,
It's a new technique.
Yeah, just
I
be
found
like,
it.
"Well,
Just
I'm
pretend you're
having
having a
medical condition.
Just do it on your feet. And everything's fine.
I wish there might be video somewhere, but like I was like, and so they're on the ground, and now I'm like, I have the ball. It's just me and the goalie, and the goalie's kind of looking at me like, what are you doing out here? Like, and I'm like,
You're like, having a seizure.
and I was like, I don't know. I was just like, and I kick it, and I don't know why the goalie didn't get it, but it went in.
Nice.
And everybody on the sidelines was just like, whoa! And then like they ran out in the field and they picked me up and we won the trophy. And so that was very Disney because it was like 7 years and I never scored a goal.
After that, were you like, I'm out? No more.
Kind of, yeah. You go out at the top of your career. You don't
Right.
try to have a comeback after
Leave it
that.
on a good note.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
end it on a good
100% a fluke, and you can't let people know that. You have to be like, yeah, I was holding that back the
So
entire
don't
time.
ever talk about it like on a panel.
Yeah.
in
Don't
public.
ever tell people that it was just a total accident. So there's that. But I actually really got into hockey when I keep banging. This is loud. Like, in 7th grade, I moved to Tampa, Florida, which surprisingly, Florida's really into hockey. I guess because it's so hot there, they're like, let's play hockey. So there's tons of ice rinks in Florida. They have like 3 teams in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like just in that state. I think they still have 3. I don't know. But so I got into the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is funny because later I'd become Sailor Jupiter, and like so her powers are like thunder and lightning. I'm like, it's appropriate. And my friend.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. Well, I was also a Sailor Jupiter fan because I watched it growing up, so it's just kind of funny. But I grew. My friend Luce would like want me to be the person she would practice slap shots with. Mm-hmm. So she would like back me up against the garage and just take slap shots at me, and just hit me with the hockey hockey ball. And so eventually I had to either like learn to get good at it. I didn't just go, oh, I could have just not been her friend anymore.
Right.
Like that wasn't an option for some reason.
No, friends are important.
Yeah, and she was a good friend.
Friendship is magic. I don't know if you've heard.
Yes, friendship is magic. But yeah, basically I started wrapping like newspapers around my shins and got like a kitchen mitt and like eventually
Also
started.
sounds like a Disney movie.
It really was. My whole life's just been a big old Disney movie. Anyway.
Mine's more like an after-school special.
Oh no! Are you the girl who's like tempted by the giant person who's like, hey kids, come into my van?
I'm the friend that's there that helps the person from being in certain.
Okay, so you're not the one who like is in trouble.
Yeah, no. But I was always afraid I would be because of saving people's butts so often. There was my freshman year in college. This girl drank a 5th of vodka and was almost completely gone. Like she was stumbling around and didn't know who she was or where she was. And this guy kept coming up to her and saying, "I'll take her. I'll get her. I can take her home." And I'm like, eventually, I just like got in front of her and I was like, "Get away!" And I didn't have cell phones at the time, so I had to wait for somebody to come by and be like, come help. And so they went and got people to get her out. And I was like, I could never be like that. I could never let that happen. And it was so impactful. I never did anything fun in college because I was worried I was going to be the after-school special.
I'm glad you were there for her.
Yeah, she was too. She was anytime I ever needed any help or someone was rude, she would just like show up, ready to throw down. And I was like, thanks.
Yeah.
Her name is Katie. It was great.
So funny. So you were not like the, because you're like so fun, but you weren't the fun one in college.
I was still very fun.
You're like, responsibly fun.
Yes, responsibly fun.
Yes, but I wasn't.
That's good.
I wasn't inebriated.
That's actually kind of.
That's good.
It wasn't fun. Like people in college were like, "Let's get shit faced," and I never understood that because I'm like, I don't like being nauseous. One time in college for a cast party, I did get that drunk. Didn't mean to, but I showed up late and everybody was already drunk. And you don't ask drink mixing advice from people who are already drunk.
No.
That's something I learned the hard way.
Right.
I also learned that half pina colada mix and half vodka is not the right proportion. Because I was like, I love pina coladas, and I was like, they have pina colada mix, and I didn't know what was in
My
it.
stomach had a physical reaction to that. It just went.
You're just
like,
like for a while, I couldn't, even now, like smelling vodka, I'm like, because it's like, I assumed, I didn't know it was rum that goes in a pina colada. I was like, oh, well, rum's brown and pina coladas are white, so it's probably the vodka. And I was like, hey guys, what should I put in? And everybody's like, it doesn't matter.
Because they couldn't taste it anymore.
They could, yeah. And that was a night. I spent the whole night in the bathtub throwing up. And I was also that kid who was like, no, this is not me. And so like, it was so bad because like there was somebody in the bed, like, throwing up there, and you go into the bathroom and there's like a girl in the toilet and she like looks up at me and she's like, not on the toilet but like throwing up at the toilet, she's like, do you need me to move? Because I can move.
Oh God.
I can share. And then
after school special.
Yeah, that was like the one time I ever really did that. And I was like, that's not fun. Why do people do this every weekend?
I don't want to throw up with others.
Yes, it's not communal vomiting. It's not. It's just not fun. It's not my jam.
You didn't know you guys would be talking about vomit.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're covering
Welcome
all
to
the
it.
bases. Thanks for coming to this like experimental panel where I'm just like, let's talk about stuff that's not voice acting.
Really us without drinks at the bar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Basically.
drinks would be different. Absolutely.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, we should do a version of the panel that's like an 18 plus where we're drinking and then
Oh,
telling
that's a
people.
good idea.
Yeah, I was just saying we would be at the bar.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I thought. That's what you were.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I will be doing.
I'm curious. Do you guys have a fear? Like just a random fear? Maybe it's like why would I be afraid of that? Or like, oh, that makes sense that I'd be afraid of that. Like, I don't know. Just random.
I don't like spiders.
Oh, me neither. Oh. Yeah.
But here's why. So I lived in the country with my parents. We were on like 2.5 acres, so it wasn't huge. But we had a balcony over the front door, and there was a brick wall around it. And in the summer, there would be spiders everywhere at night.
Oh.
And that light bulb was out for like 3 years. My parents never changed it. And we would go in and I was like, I can't walk through there because I knew there would be spiders hanging above and one of them was going to drop on me and then I'd freak out and I'd get caught in all the webs. And so I was like, Dad, I can't go in. And he went in first and he gets inside and he turns on the light inside and opens the door. He's like, see, it's fine. And there are spiders everywhere.
The walls moving.
Like it's above, like it's in the balcony. So all above and out into the trees, into that courtyard area, covered. And I was like, get inside! And he's like, what? It's fine. I was like, go inside. And then I had to run in, and I felt like they were falling on me. And we also, because we were in the country and the house had been abandoned for like 4 years, it did not matter what I picked up. I had to do it like this because I never knew if there was a fiddleback underneath it, which is also brown recluse. So I got bit by them. Everybody in our family got bit at least once.
Those are like super poisonous.
Yeah.
She's like, you get used to them.
It's not great. I mean, you build up an immunity, is what I'm saying. But it was like I was ready. We had to make sure our shoes were dumped out because they might go in there. Like, we were
you giving me the
infested.
heebie-jeebies.
It was horrible. That's what I grew up with. So now if I see one and people are like, let it out, I'm like,
No,
it's in my
kill
house,
it.
It's dead.
Because the
Taking
thing
it
is,
out.
it could lay eggs, and then thered be more spiders in the house.
Stop it.
Oh, sorry. I'm giving you the heebie-jeebies.
I hated it. So yeah, spiders are a big thing for me. I do not like them.
Ooh.
There's a video of my friends found a tarantula in their dorm room. I think it was somebody else in the dorm's pet, and I guess it got loose.
No.
And there's a video of them
Why would you have
freaking.
that as a pet?
I don't know why you would have that as a pet, but I guess they're furry and
You know what else is soft? A puppy.
Yeah.
Kitten.
Get
a bunny
puppy.
rabbit.
A goat.
Get a puppy instead.
So it's a lazy person who.
You know what else is soft that you don't have to feed very often? A stuffed puppy.
Yeah, not
Very
tarantula.
often.
Well,
Why do you need to
throw it. Like it moved. Woohoo! Puppy.
In the video, they were like, the tarantula's like running all over, and the tarantula's freaking out too because it's like, I don't know why I'm here. And the only reason I say it is because I use this quote all the time. But somebody goes, send it to Jesus! Send it to Jesus!
I'm gonna start using that. Just send it to Jesus.
Send it to Jesus!
Oh my gosh. The reason I feel like my story is not as traumatic as yours, but like
awful.
the reason why I don't like spiders is because I'm not an outdoorsy person because there's bugs and dirt, and I don't like the feeling of dirt, and it's gross. Ugh. And well, me and my family went camping, and of course I didn't want to go, but I had to because you got to go where your family is, and so me and my sisters. I'm a triplet, and we both fraternal.
Yay.
But we stuffed into a tent, a small tent, and every morning when we woke up, there were spiders just chilling at the top of the nest. I at the time I was like, how did they? What? How did those? Why every morning they'd be hanging down? I'd wake up and it'd just be hanging there, and like, oh my god!
I don't like it.
And we found out that our tent was nestled under a tree that was infested with them. So every single, and we were out there for like 5 days, I think, and so every single morning I'd wake up to spiders, and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my parents were in a nice tent away from the spider tree.
They're glamping.
Yeah,
RV.
they were glamping, yes.
Right.
Meanwhile, while me and my sisters had to suffer.
We camped a lot when I was a kid, and now I've served my time.
You served your time.
Done. Now people are like, we're gonna go camping. I'm like, so what is that? Like 3-star? What are we talking about? Because I'm not doing it. I'm not sleeping on the ground.
Me neither. Yeah,
And,
no. I don't want to do
you
that.
put an air mattress. I'm not doing
Nope.
that either. We did that, and then when it rained and there was a tornado around it, the air mattress floated in all the water that was inside the tent.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
At least you weren't
Again,
wet.
Oklahoma, lots of tornadoes, lots of weather.
Still, that's.
Have you been like, so a tornado was like near you?
Yes, there were a whole bunch of them around us. And we're like, great, we're camping.
What do? Do you just like take cover in the woods? You just pray?
We're just in the tent.
Just
You're
pray.
just like, yeah, well,
Oh.
I mean, benefit
basically a
was
kite.
all the trees around us because you're kind of in a forest, and that has a tendency to break up the wind.
okay.
That's why you'll see a tornado is usually on like a
Open field.
Yeah, because there's less to slow it down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I didn't know that at the time.
So you're just like,
I didn't
I'd be
even
freaking
know,
out
we
either
didn't know
way.
there were tornadoes at the time because we were out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, and stormy, and if I move, I'm gonna be soaked. So I'm just gonna stay in this little mattress like this and float a little bit. It was awful.
It's just.
No
just,
camping either.
Yeah, I can't camp. There's the fear of bugs getting at me. Like, I don't like that.
coming at you.
Yeah, coming at me.
I used to like
Climbing through my
collect
windows.
the bugs when I was little, but I just don't want to sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
What was and the question was like fears?
Yeah.
Oh, fears.
Just a random fear, maybe.
Like general failure.
Yeah.
Dying alone. No. And ceiling fans. I have a weird thing with fans. The motion.
Let's talk about that.
The
Yeah,
motion,
that's interesting.
The motion, like even that, like this freaks me out because it's like it's going so fast in the wrong direction, like a propeller. Like I hate sitting in the seat next to a propeller because I'm like, it could fly off. What is keeping this thing that's going in this direction from continuing to go in that direction, except maybe some screws, and who knows if that
Nothing.
person put that together right.
There's
There's nothing. That thing is like held on by faith and pixie dust.
I have a story kind of about that.
Did somebody's head get cut off because a propeller flew at them?
No, but in my room, when I moved into this new place, the fan, I turned it on, but the people who lived in the house previously did not put it on right. So I'm glad I turned it off when I did, because it could have killed me.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's like, oh yay, a fan in my room. I pull the thing, and it goes, and you could tell. It was like, oh crap, this is hanging on by a thread. And then of course, I hired someone to switch it out, and they told me like, yeah, this thing is literally hanging by a thread. You could have died. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad I never used it after I tested it out that one time.
Yeah, that's pretty much the fear. Either like a blade will fly off, either on a propeller on a plane, or even the fan above my bed, because I always run hot. Like even here, I went to the staff and I was like, hi, how do I turn off the heat in my room? They're like, turn it down. I'm like, no, turn it off. I'm like, it's 30 degrees. I'm like, great. Because I like sleeping under duvets and I get really hot.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to have a fan on. But it freaks me out. Like when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, that fan's going so fast. Like it's like
You could literally stick your hand up through that fan and you would be fine.
right, but like if
I know
it's
this
not
from
so much like
experience.
that. It's more just the idea that like it might come off and just like
Yeah.
crush me while I sleep, or it would fly and just I don't know. Just,
I mean, they're like 5 pounds. It's not going to crush you.
but the momentum of it going that fast, not crush, but like if something lands on your head.
I mean, it's not going to feel great, but you're going to be fine.
you don't know that.
It's not going to feel
Pretty
great,
sure.
but
You're gonna. Yeah, you could be fine. You're
I'm
fine
not
with
saying
spiders.
it's
That's true.
rational. It's just how I feel.
Yeah.
But I don't have to sleep with a spider to be comfortable. She has
I need that fan. I don't understand. I don't like things where I don't understand how it works.
Science.
Yeah, like
It's confusing.
planes. For the longest time, I was so terrified of planes. When I was a kid, I would like try to make myself lighter. By like when the plane was taking off, I'd be like go, I don't know why I thought that would like flapping my wings to like help the plane
Right.
go up, because I'm like, everybody on this plane is heavy.
heavy.
Like it's like this is too much, and we have bags in the back. And like, what if somebody brought on more weight than they said they did? And those scales aren't always accurate. And I just like didn't understand. And then like one day I was like in the car and I had my hand out the window and I was doing this, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how that works. Because like like the wind would like push it down, and like as much as you try, it just goes down, or like it pushed, So I'm like, oh, that's how it stays up. And then I have not been afraid of
Oh, that's nice.
planes since. So yes, if I can understand the science of it and trust that the manufacturing is like, that's why I'm freaked out by carnivals. 'Cause I'm like,
Well, that's natural.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
I
very
really want
natural.
to be
There
on
are
that
clowns
gravitron.
there.
The gravitron thing is that similar thing where it's like it's at an angle, but it's spinning in a circle, and it's like all these people are on it. This was put together by people who probably dropped out of high school. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm also like, I don't know. I want to make sure
I
you
don't
can
wanna
read.
trust your engineering either.
Right, like I just
Probably put together with toothpicks.
they're just like, oh, we're missing some parts. We left them back in Toledo. I don't know, put duct tape on it.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you know what's? Oh,
You
I
should be
shouldn't
so
say this.
lucky
Oh,
that they would choose duct tape.
They're like, duct tape's expensive.
I'm gonna say it. Okay, so there's this one flight I was on. I think it was. Now I love Delta, but I think I remember it being a Delta flight, or maybe it was American. I don't know. Where I looked out my window and it was held together with duct tape.
What your window was?
Yeah, my plane window.
That is American all the way.
yeah.
That's
It
like-
probably was
It's
American.
just before Spirit. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's time to retire this plane to
That might
Spirit.
be cool. That might be like between Southwest and Spirit. Maybe
Yeah.
not quite American. American's
Right.
better than that.
Except
usually.
I was on one that
American.
I believe we would have been lucky to have it put together. Like the door, the handle to pull the door open, because I was in the exit row with Michael Tatum. The part that pops down and then you grab the handle, that fell down when we were on takeoff because it was held together with sticky Velcro.
What?
like
That's
the emergency
encouraging.
Wait,
door.
a
Rattling
handle?
off into
A
the-
handle being held together with sticky
the,
Velcro?
The cover for the handle had it was
Oh.
sticky Velcro.
So it doesn't really work
And
if you
the
grab
sticky
on
wasn't
it.
even that successful. That's why it popped off, and it was like great. And then we were turning. I was like, it was bad, and we were turning, and it just went. And I was like, oh my god, is this my anxiety? This is a real problem. But then once we landed like this,
Oh, I hate it when they can't land
oh
it
my
well.
god, and
Ugh.
and it was like on the side first, and then like on one
gosh,
wheel.
just like,
and
Oh
then
my
they straightened it. It was like,
goodness.
have you done this before?
Is this your first
Yeah.
day?
Maybe you
Isn't
haven't
it
done
first
this
day on the
before.
job?
And I was talking to, it was Josh Greeley and Dave Matringa and Michael, and they were like, no, I thought we were going to die. We all thought we were going to die. I was like, okay, good. I felt like it was just me overreacting, so it's nice to know that we were all on the same page.
That's
with
most crashes take place during takeoff and landing. So it's not the part where you're in the air for 10 or whatever hours. It's that last.
It's like the car accidents being close to your home.
Yep.
Oh, it's,
Why is that? Is that just because people are like taking it for granted, so they're more likely to be on their phone or whatever because it's what they
Or
know?
it's just on automatic, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Always put on that
So
seatbelt.
they get too comfy and they think, oh, I got this.
You can't what?
You can't hit anything.
That's well, but like Except for Sully, who hit that bird, which everybody's like, congratulations, you're such a hero. And some people were like, yeah, but his job was to not hit birds.
Well,
so.
he can't help hitting a bird if it flies in
Apparently, there's ways to avoid it. I don't know. Also, Robbie Daymond is another voice actor, and he cracks me up because he has a fear of flying when he has to fly to cons all the time. So he was telling me that he was watching YouTube videos about how to survive a midair explosion. Obviously, if you die in the explosion, you die. But they said there's been 200 and something reported cases of people who didn't die in midair and just plummeted, and they survived because they grabbed large things around them. So part of the plane, and the bigger the better, or a large suitcase, and it slows down the air. Or you're not plummeting as fast.
So surf the air down.
Yeah, you basically are surfing pieces of the plane down. And it's you'll probably break a leg or whatever, but he was just funny that he showed up to brunch once and he's like, sorry I was late. I was watching videos about how to survive a midair collision.
So this is
And
Robbie?
now we all
Robbie
know.
Oh.
Thanks, Robbie.
Well, now I know.
I was more afraid when I first was flying, and then I went to Toronto, and there was a flight. We were taking off, and we had to wait for maintenance issues anyway, and I don't know why they tell you that. I don't want to know.
Yeah, that scares me.
I don't know. It's just going to make me anxious. And so we had to stop for maintenance, whatever. And then finally we take off. The plane had been downgraded, and they didn't tell anybody. So we went from a big plane from Dallas to Toronto direct to a small 12-row, 4
What?
per row. Yeah. It was.
Did they have to kick a bunch of people off?
No, I think they just didn't have it filled, and so they were like, we'll use a smaller plane and not change anyone's seats. So when I was talking to the flight attendant, he was like, just take your seat. I was like, I can't, this says row 20, and there's only 12 row, I'm not, and he wasn't getting it. I was like,
yeah,
I will not sit on the tail of this plane.
You
he
go in
was
the
like,
cargo
"What?"
hold.
Yeah, and I was like, it is 20. We don't have 20 rows. And he was like, oh my God. And you could see him realizing in that moment they hadn't rescheduled anyone. And I was like, tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to sit here in the front, and if you need me, you let me know. And then I sat there, and he just was directing people, and people were freaking out. So finally, we take off, everything is fine. And when we come into land, the pilot comes across, and he's like, hi, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to let you know as we are beginning our descent that there's a significant chance we will not have brakes upon landing, so I'm going to go ahead and do a corkscrew, and he kept going, and I was like, and I looked at the guy next to me, I was like, did he just say that we may not have brakes? And he was like, yep, that's what he said. And I was like, okay, so we did a very, very slow descent and to run out most of the gas. And then, if we went through a wisp of a cloud, it was like,
oh my
and then we finally land, and we have brakes. We stop. And on the sides, as we were landing, it's like, ambulance, fire truck. And I was like,
what?
Those are for us. Oh my God.
They were preparing for everyone to be injured?
Yes.
They're like, all right, we got to get pick up all the pieces of people.
Was this American?
It was.
Didn't happen
American,
on
you
Delta.
suck.
Here we go.
American Airlines
We
sucks.
land, and then it goes, and we fish
Oh my
right at
God.
the end, and it was like, and then he comes back on, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, it seems as though we do have brakes.
Jamie,
And we
did you
all
call them
start
out on
laughing.
Twitter or something? Because that's ridiculous.
No, the Twitter wasn't tweeting at the time.
Oh, okay.
And so then he said the problem was that he didn't have steering capacity.
That sounds
And
like a
so-
personal problem.
Right? So
Yeah.
he couldn't steer. He had to steer.
You're
with
putting
brakes
your
the
lives
rest of the
in
game.
danger.
Was
oh
it,
my gosh.
well, it sounds like he did the best he could. He
did.
found out
He did
midair,
perfect.
I don't know if I can land this plane.
Fast forward several years, I was drunken on a flight sitting next to a pilot who had also been drinking, and I was like, I want you to tell me your worst stories.
Oh no.
Help me. And I told him about this flight, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, did he know that he couldn't steer when he landed? And he was like, no, he wouldn't have known it until he landed. And I was like, so he did an excellent job. He was like, he really did. And he said out of 26 years with American, he's only had engines blow twice. And one time it was 2 engines. So they
Wait.
had to land. He's like, but we're kind of excited when stuff like that happens.
Because it's not routine
Because
anymore.
it's what we're trained to do. Normally, it's just the normal thing. So when something like that happens, it's like, yes, I get to use my skills. And he's like, so we're all trained for it and ready. And for some reason, it made everything okay. I was like, oh, all right.
There's a
fine then.
show on the.
I became much less afraid. So get drunk with a pilot. It will solve all
Have
your
him tell
problems.
you his horror stories. Hopefully, he's just
It'll
not
just
a
be
pilot where
funny.
people have died. And then he's like, I died too. Woo.
I talked to the ghost of a pilot.
I'm going to put this on the
I
podcast.
sure am.
There's a show on the Weather Channel that I'll sometimes watch in the hotel room that actually also oddly comforts me, and it's called Why Planes Crash.
Right. Yeah, I can't watch those.
But it's basically
I don't want to challenge this balance.
It's horrible. It's horrible for the people in those crashes because they're dead. But or not always dead. But sometimes
it was horrible for a very short amount of time.
Yeah, for them, and then they don't care anymore. But it was more the fact that it'll show like what happened, then they'll explain the mechanics or like whatever, and then they'll explain what they've put into place since. That means that'll never happen again. So it's more like it's like their sacrifice means that I don't have to have that happen to me. So for some reason that actually comforts me to be like, oh well, that will never happen again because they've put this measure. Like engines blowing, they have multiple engines. So even if you blow one engine, you still have like four. I don't know.
That's good.
I think there's 4 engines. So even if you blow 2, you still have 2 more. Somebody, and I've heard of a pilot once landing a whole Boeing whatever with just 1 engine. So like it can be done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's more comforting.
Yeah. So if you ever have to fly, don't be afraid.
Okay.
That's right.
Unless you're being flown by the
Sorry
ghost
about
pilot.
everything we just
Or
told you.
American.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
More people drive, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Everybody's like, be safe. It's like
I have no control over
I'll
this.
sit there,
I had that thought.
but I'm definitely gonna be on my phone until we take off.
Yeah.
I had that thought recently, like when we hit turbulence, and I kind of was like, what's the point of me gripping my seat? Because like it's out of my hands at this point. Like if the
Yeah.
plane goes down, the plane's going
Steady
down.
yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like that'll
Okay.
help. They're like, she's the one person who survived because she gripped the seat like this.
No, she's one of the few people who didn't vomit because she held on to something to balance.
Oh, it's not the nausea. It's more
Oh,
just
God,
like,
I
oh God, we're going down, and we all grip the seat, and it's like I guess it's an instinct, but it's just like that's not gonna help us.
No, you should just wave your arms.
You should just be like,
Oh boy.
yes.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's a beautiful
sunrise or
question.
I 2 years ago was in Italy in Venice, and we walked. We got up at 6 and walked across the part of the island we were on to the other side, so we could see the sunrise off of Italy. It was pretty amazing.
Nice.
It was really nice. It was really cool to walk because in Venice there's no wheels of any, no bicycles, no cars, no nothing. So some of the roads are really narrow, and all of the people were like getting to work to do like bakers and all that stuff, and it was really neat to see the city just
Coming to
normal
life.
life. Yeah, it was really neat. Everybody had little trash bags, like little bags that they would sit outside and people would come gather it. It was, yeah, it was amazing.
Nice. Oh, I don't know.
She doesn't really go outside.
I really don't. It's true though. I don't get out much. It's true. I don't go outside. I stay indoors and watch Netflix. That's not
There was one recently where it's always fun when you're flying. Like it's beautiful because you get to see, because you're flying so fast that you kind of get to see like it's nighttime here, but it's daylight over there. Like, you get to see more of the sky. But I moved to Atlanta about a year ago. I'd been in LA about 8 years, and I just wasn't happy. It wasn't home, and I moved. Partially, because I loved Atlanta, but also because in LA, ironically, I could not get an on-camera TV agent to save my life. People are always like, "When are you going to do real acting?" I'm like, first of all, that's rude. Also, I've been trying, but LA is a really competitive city. They just, it's hard to get an agent. So I auditioned maybe 5 times in 8 years for TV in LA.
Oh yeah.
In Atlanta, I got an agent 2 months ago, and my very first audition for her, it's such a fluke thing. I don't have any co-star credit. So in TV, you have a hierarchy. There's co-star, which is the under 5 lines, like the waiter or the cop or whatever. Then there's guest stars, which might be a bigger part, but they're just in that episode. Then there's recurring guest stars, which multiple episodes. And then there's series regulars. And series regulars are the big, that's the one everybody dreams of. Those are the people who make $20,000 minimum per episode. That's the dream. And my very first audition I got through my Atlanta agent was back in LA in the room for a series regular.
Whoa.
I never in a million years living in LA could have gotten in that room.
Yeah.
So it kind of was just a validation of I'm in the right
You made the
place.
choice,
Yep.
yeah.
And
Confirmation.
and I flew my butt out there, even though it's an audition, so it's $760 round trip.
Oh, geez.
Because it was 2 days before, and it was
Yeah.
Labor Day weekend, so it was expensive. But I flew my butt out there, and there was just this moment flying back where it was the sun was it was beautiful, and it kind of just made me feel this victorious feeling of I made the right choice.
Yeah.
I conquered this, because I went to LA being I just want this casting director to see my work. I'm not trying to book this part. If I book it, great, and she apparently is a really tough cookie, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I went into the room and I was just myself, and I kept rambling, and I was just saying the stupidest stuff, but it was endearing, I guess, and she thought it was
Yeah.
funny. And then she's like, I really like you. She's like, you are a good actor. You're smart. You're all these things. And I guess you're not this part, but I guess I'll have to find another role for you.
No.
Just be yourself,
like,
guys.
It was literally so me, because I went into the room being like, I'm gonna walk in like I'm a series regular already, and like I'm like, oh hi, and like I wanted to be all aloof and like, oh, I audition for these all the time. I didn't want her to know how green I was and how I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there, because it's like imposter syndrome.
Right.
But of course, the moment I go in, I just start talking, and like it was for a baseball show, and she was like, so, asking me questions like, so do you play baseball? And I was like, oh, no. I mean, I could for this show. Like, I totally can. I played hockey, but it's not really the same thing. But, I was like, I was a goalie, which I guess could be good like a catcher. They're both positions where you're kind of lazy, you don't really have to run. Not that like, I just kept.
I love your honesty, though, and your transparency. Yeah.
It was the word vomit, but she got to see me, whereas I think a lot of actors go in the room and they present something. Yeah. And so I guess that, oddly enough, I was trying not to do that, but because I did, like, she got to see, who I was, and it was just really cool. So that was a really cool sunset to like fly back and be like, I did that. I moved. I took the risk, and it's paying off.
Yeah.
And since then, I've had more I had more auditions in the past 3 weeks in Atlanta for TV than I have in all 8 years in LA. So it's like, just, that's nice to get that validation. Didn't mean to like brag. It's just.
No, that's a beautiful story.
It's more just like follow your heart, like.
Yeah.
You're answering the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the question.
I also love that.
Sunsets. Yes.
Yeah. I love that you were you, You weren't putting on a front,
I was trying to. Like, I'd been practicing. I'm like, I'm going to go in and be like, hi, we've auditioned before, right? I can't remember. I auditioned for so many of these.
But the beauty is, like, just be yourself. I feel like you could get, it's a good lesson in life. It's okay to just be yourself, Yeah. I like that.
It is. Like, that's something I've been learning. Like, they told me, they're like, once you hit your 30s, you'll start to care less. And you really do. You're like, you're just kind of like, if you don't like me, you don't like me. Like, I'm not going to bend over backwards to be somebody you want me to be. Like, you either want to work with me or you don't. Yeah. I had a manager that I was trying to meet with in LA, and she ghosted me. And I had spent extra money to extend my stay, pay for my rental car longer, and she, I messaged her twice, and she didn't respond.
Well, and there's something to be said, too. If you don't value your time, no one else will.
Right.
So you have to value yourself first, and LA does not put you in a position to do that.
Right. LA puts you in a position of like lack, where it's like, well, there's a million people who want to have this, so you're kind of bowing down to managers and agents and whatever. And I've gotten to this point where I'm like, you want to work with me, and if you don't, well, it's going to suck for you in a couple years when I'm a series regular or whatever. And my agent who believed in me is getting all my 10%, not you. Yeah. Yep. So my friend was like, you need to message the manager again. Like, you have to, maybe she just forgot. I'm like, no. I messaged her twice. She didn't respond. She doesn't want to work with me. I don't want to work with somebody who's I don't want to work with somebody who's not excited about me.
Right.
Because I'm worthy of being excited about. So that's kind of like something
it's
that like
dating.
Yeah. Don't chase people who don't want to be chased.
Mm-hmm. She's just not that into you.
Yeah, she just wasn't that into me, and I'm like, all right, well, you have bad taste.
She's allowed to be wrong.
Yeah. And she's very, very wrong.
Yes. On astrology, I love it. I love all.
What sign are you?
Also, I'm a Libra. I like it because it gets me out of favorites. Because when people are like, "What's your favorite character?" I can say, "I'm a Libra, so I don't really have favorites." It's not like my thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I love them. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like the love, and if you beyond just the sun, like once you get into the charts and all of, it's so intense and in depth. It's fascinating.
I just got into
Whether you believe
that.
in it or not, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I feel like once you get into the charts, that's when it starts to be like, oh, that's very accurate. Like it gets more like, it's like the latitude and longitude of where you were and where the stars were in relation to when you were born. And it's like, it seems like it shouldn't make sense. But when you get into that, because I was like, oh, I'm a Virgo, but I'm not like clean. My car's disgusting and messy. But I have Aries all over I'm Aries moon, Aries north node, Aries, like it's like, so that makes a lot more sense that there's like that fire and that stubbornness and like all the.
It's like that's the bossy.
Yeah, that's the bossy part. That's like, I'm going to talk this whole panel and not let Jamie and Morgan talk. And
I'm a Taurus. I don't know much about astrology or anything.
You're an earth sign.
Yeah.
Stop trying to hold me down.
I feel like I should be a fire sign, though. I don't know why.
You might be, like, if you did your chart, you might find that you've got fire in there.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like if I was a bender, I would be a firebender.
Nice.
I don't know. I like fire.
Do you like food a lot?
I do.
Tauruses tend to be really pleasure oriented, so they're like, I love food.
I love food.
So.
Nice.
Therefore, we just proved it's real.
Apparently, yes. We do. We like it. We're into it.
I feel like I saw somebody about that
about
time.
time to wrap
I thought I saw somebody in the back ask a question or have a hand up a while ago, but maybe I don't have my glasses on, so that could also just be a ghost.
Yes. Oh, I used to. I have a theater degree as well. I used to, but now the commitment, it's so much time.
Yep.
That, and also I really hate striking sets.
Yep.
So it just doesn't.
I was gonna say if it's equity, you're like,
Hi, I live in Texas. We're
Nothing's-
right to work,
yeah,
which means
nothing's
we're
union.
right to be screwed over.
right to
Yep.
work for less.
Right to work for less, but boy, can we overwork ourselves. Yeah, so I have stopped to do more of this, and also you can't do conventions.
Right, because it's on the weekends.
It's on the weekends. Yeah.
I love
love
theater. I want to do more. I was a theater major in college, and that was one thing. I did a couple plays in LA, but Atlanta I'm really excited about because there's a lot of equity theater there, a lot of really good theater, and people go to see it. There were times when I was in LA where we were performing to more people or fewer people in the audience than we had in our cast.
That's happened in Texas.
You know,
too,
but in Atlanta, I don't know what it is, but people go to see plays, and and you'll recognize people. It's like a community. You're like, oh, I saw you at this other play. Like,
Yeah.
so that's really nice. I'm excited to dive into that because theater is just there's something about
Let's
it.
all
Yeah.
move there.
Yeah.
Everybody go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Everybody come to Atlanta. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
did a lot of theater too, all
Yeah.
middle school, high school, and then even outside of, like, I was involved in the theater department at my school, and there was a performing arts program I was doing outside of school, so I was always performing. And then I got into voiceover,
Yeah.
and so I kind of fell out of the theater scene after that. But yeah, I would like to do more of that later in the future.
I
It'd
feel
be
like
nice.
Texas seemed like it had a lot of good theater. You have like Kitchen Dog, or I don't know, or
Yeah, there are some good ones, but I just haven't.
yeah, it's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. Yeah. Yes, so I have it's called Ghoul Intentions. It's with Michael Tatum. We have a panel tonight at 9:30 at 102D in E, I guess.
Like 2 rooms.
Yeah, I think so.
Just that big.
We'll see.
Nice.
But it is, we have submissions. So we start with a ghost story. And it's edited, it has music behind it, all that stuff. And then I'll tell him the history of a haunted location. He'll tell me the history of a haunted location. It's about an hour and a half on average. And we just kind of creep each other out. And then we get so many stories in that we will record, and they come out on Thursdays, where we just drink and read them to each other.
Nice.
It's kind of what we're going to do tonight, but we'll be pulling people. Oh, Spotify, any of the podcast apps, it's on all of it. Or I don't think it's on Pandora, and it's not on, what is it, iHeartRadio, because you have to use this particular, anyway, it's not on iHeartRadio. And so, but it's also on the website, which is just ghoulintentions.com. And that's where you submit your ghost stories as well. We get a lot of good ones, really good.
So many good ones. There's so many episodes too. I'm not caught up.
I know, we have a lot of content. We have 58 episodes now, full episodes, and 39 ghosticles. That's what we call them. That's what I wanted to call the show to start off with.
Ghosticles.
Ghosticles, because I'm always like, ooh, it's ghosticles. And then Michael's like, no, because it sounds like testicles. I'm like, yeah, that's what makes it fun.
It does.
Ghosticles.
Exactly. He didn't want to do it. So then we went with Ghoul Intentions, because cruel intentions, and which is Dangerous Liaisons, and he loves French and writing and all that crap. So it's great. And then when we did the smaller one, I was like, it has to be Ghosticles, and he's like, fine. So now whenever it starts, I sing, it's Ghosticles time, it's Ghosticles time. It's mostly ghosty, toasty, hosty Ghosticles time, and it doesn't have anything to do with testicles. We
Nice.
sing that almost every time we do it. I like it. It's our little song. We're gonna.
That's a good note to end on.
Oh,
Yeah, it is. That's
Ghosticles.
pretty good. Yeah.
9:30 tonight. Come. It will be a lot of fun. We'll be telling
Nice.
ghost stories, and we did have somebody who I guess saw spirits or whatever in Hawaii, and she sent us a message that said that while Michael, I wasn't in Hawaii because I don't get to go to places like that, but Michael was there, and while he was someone was on stage telling a story, he had like something appear behind him, and then that guy had something appear behind him, and then there was like a line of ghosts along the side of the wall, and she and her sons both saw it, and they were gonna just like talk to the dad, and the dad was like, "Don't you even tell me or we're leaving," because he doesn't want to hear about it.
He doesn't want to know.
And they didn't even know they were in a ghost story panel at the time.
Oh.
And And it just so happened they were sensitive, and they were like, oh my gosh, there's ghosts everywhere. So that might happen tonight. We'll see.
So there's a bunch of Hawaiian ghosts.
I mean, I doubt, yes, there it was, but I doubt we'll have
Yeah, not a lot of Minnesota ghosts.
You know, maybe. We'll see. Maybe it'll be a Hawaiian, Minnesota ghost.
Oh, like, a bunch of people coming in.
Aloha.
Aloha. Aloha there.
Yeah.
Sorry, butchering your accent.
Yeah, sorry. It's not, I've literally not talked to anyone who sounds like that. So thank you guys for coming to our little fun panel. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
Yay!